Chaos swept through the kingdom of Luminar like a wild storm. The wedding bells were supposed to ring, the guests were already gathering, and the palace gates were draped in golden silks, yet the groom, Prince Aarhiya, was nowhere to be found. And neither was Nello. Panic erupted the moment the maids realized Aarhiya's room was empty. King Aurelius was summoned immediately, and when he saw the untouched wedding garments and the open window, his heart dropped. His face drained of color. "Search everywhere," he roared, voice echoing like thunder through the marble halls. "Find my son." Soldiers scattered in every direction, galloping out of the palace courtyard as the king stood frozen, guilt washing over him. Draen, already dressed in ceremonial attire, stepped toward him with practiced concern. "Your Majesty, we will find him. Aarhiya must be nearby." But King Aurelius wasn't comforted. He pressed a trembling hand to his forehead. "This is my fault. I pushed him too hard." Meanwhile, Aarhiya's friends, Ogello and Char, were summoned into the throne room. The king demanded answers. "Did he tell you anything? Did he say he planned to escape?" But both boys looked genuinely confused, shocked even. "No, Your Majesty," Ogello stammered. "Aarhiya didn't say anything about running away. We thought he accepted the marriage," Char added quietly. The king sank into his throne, feeling more worried than ever. Elsewhere in the palace grounds, Draen finally escaped the noise and ducked behind a secluded archway. The moment he was alone, his calm expression shattered. Rage consumed him. "Damn him," he hissed. "He planned this." His mind raced back to their last conversation, just 2 days before the wedding. That morning, he had found Aarhiya seated in the royal garden, playing a soft, calming tune on his flute. Draen had walked right up to him, wearing a smirk of absolute confidence. "You should get ready," he had told him. "Soon, you'll be my husband. And you'll bear my children, heirs powerful enough to rule the kingdoms. Leave everything to me. You're weak, Aarhiya. You should be grateful that I'm even considering helping you by marrying you." Aarhiya only paused his flute, lifted his eyes, and smiled softly. "Let's see," he had said. "We'll see if the future you've planned will come to pass." Draen thought that smile meant surrender. But now he realized. Aarhiya had already made up his mind to escape. Now in the present, he clenched his fists in frustration, but suddenly, the air around him shimmered. A shape appeared. A woman stepped out of thin air, an apparition draped in gold and red. Lenrea. She looked furious. "Draen," she snapped, her voice echoing like a spell, "tell me it isn't true. Tell me Aarhiya didn't run away." Draen lowered his head. "It's true." Lenrea exploded with anger. "You fool. We were this close. How could you let this happen? You were supposed to keep your eyes on him. Everything we planned is falling apart because of you." Draen stumbled over his words, desperate. I'm sorry. I didn't expect him to run. But don't worry. I'll find him. And I'll make sure the wedding happens." Lenrea's expression softened only slightly. "You'd better," she warned, her form flickering. "I cannot afford to waste any more time. I hope you do not fail me again." And with that, she vanished. The air snapped back into place, leaving Draen alone with his dark thoughts. But this time, his rage simmered into something sharper, something personal. Aarhiya wasn't just a political advantage. Aarhiya was the only path to the person Draen truly loved. Lenrea. And now that he knew Aarhiya had run away, Draen became more determined than ever. "Run all you want," he whispered to the empty garden. "I'll find you. And you will marry me." Morning came, well, morning, by Umberitha's standards. In a kingdom that never saw the sun, daybreak wasn't marked by light, only by the sound of Todi banging on Aarhiya's door. She shoved the door open and barked, "Wake up. Get up, girl." Aarhiya jolted awake, eyes squinting into pitch blackness. For a moment, he sat upright in confusion, mumbling, "Why is it still night?" Toad scoffed. "Night? You're not in wherever you came from. This is Umbereth. We don't do sunlight here." Aarhiya blinked around the gloomy room, still disoriented. "Then, how do you even know it's morning?" She lifted a small clay jar she'd been carrying. A faint glow pulsed inside it, soft, dull, and eerie. "Jar of time," she said proudly. "It tells us when the day starts. Now hurry. You have tasks waiting." Aarhiya sighed, dragging himself out of the creaky bed. "Tasks like what?" "Serving the royals," Tode replied sharply. "Especially His Majesty, and the first royal concubine." She paused, giving him a meaningful look. "When I say serve, I mean serve well. They don't tolerate mistakes." Aarhiya grimaced. He expected the emperor to be, well, wicked. Anyone with a reputation as ruthless as Kaenar's had to be difficult. But the mention of the first concubine made him curious. "What is she like?" he asked carefully. Tode only smirked. "You'll find out soon enough." Before he could ask more, she clapped her hands loudly. "Move. Prepare yourself and meet me outside." Aarhiya quickly washed up, fixed his disguise, and stepped out into the cold stone hallway. Tode was already there, arms folded impatiently. Without wasting a second, she marched him through twisting corridors until they reached a wide chamber filled with servants. Dozens of them moved around like shadows, quiet, exhausted, and completely uninterested in the newcomer. Some carried laundry. Some scrubbed floors. Some simply sat slumped against the wall, waiting for orders. Tode pushed Aarhiya forward. "Everyone," she called out, "this is the new maid Lenrea. Do your work, and don't bother her. Just don't get in trouble." No one even looked at him. Not a single smile. No curiosity. Nothing. Aarhiya glanced around, stunned by the lifeless atmosphere. Every servant looked drained, eyes hollow, shoulders sagging, as if the darkness of Umbereth had seeped into their bones. Aarhiya swallowed hard. So, this was life here. No wonder everyone looked miserable. How could anyone be happy living in a kingdom where the sun never rose? Still, he straightened his posture and reminded himself why he was here. 6 months. Just 6 months. Survive, and find a way to get out of this hellhole. But even as he tried to convince himself, he couldn't ignore the knot of uneasiness forming in his chest. Umbereth was already starting to swallow him whole. The moment Tode finished assigning tasks, a heavy set of footsteps thundered through the hallway. It wasn't just loud, it carried a pressure, a kind of royalty mixed with danger. Instantly, every servant in the quarters stiffened like statues. Conversations died mid-sentence. People who'd been stretching or yawning suddenly scrubbed floors or dusted shelves with supernatural speed. Aarhiya blinked, confused by the sudden tension. He whispered to the girl beside him, "What's going on? Why is everyone acting like this?" Yami didn't even turn her head, she only whispered through clenched teeth. "First royal concubine Lenrea is coming. Whatever you do, don't, and I repeat, don't look her in the eyes. If you do, you're done." Aarhiya's eyebrows knitted together. "Why?" Yami scoffed under her breath. "As long as Emperor Kaenar hasn't made her empress, she's determined to make our lives miserable. She's obsessed with power, and she knows she doesn't have it. So she torments everyone who can't fight back." Before Aarhiya could respond, the door burst open with a loud crack. A chilling silence fell. In swept Lenrea, tall, elegant, and dangerously beautiful. Behind her trailed 3 maids dressed in black and silver, their faces blank as masks. Every servant bowed their heads so low their noses nearly scraped the ground. Lenrea didn't speak at first. She simply strolled through the room like a queen surveying insects. Her heels clicked ominously against the stone floor. She checked faces, corners, shadows, almost as if she smelled something out of place. Then, her eyes landed on Aarhiya. He instinctively bowed his head and tried to blend into the crowd, but it was too late. Lenrea's voice sliced through the silence. "You. There." Her finger pointed directly at him, cold, accusing, and sharp like a dagger. Aarhiya froze. The entire room gasped. She stepped closer, her gown sweeping the floor behind her. "You're the one Emperor Kaenar brought in last night. Who are you?" Todi quickly stepped forward, bowing deeply. "Your Grace, this new servant." Lenrea raised a hand sharply. "I didn't ask you, Todi. I asked them. I want to hear it from their own mouth." Aarhiya swallowed hard. He knew one wrong word could expose him, and Kaenar had made it very clear he didn't want anyone knowing the truth. So he lied. My name is Lenrea," he said quietly. "I don't remember much else. The Emperor simply found me unconscious outside and decided to help." The room exploded with shocked murmurs. Even the usually expressionless servants glanced up in disbelief. Lenrea's eyes widened as if he'd told the greatest joke in the world. "Help? You?" She let out a cold laugh. "The Emperor of Umbreth helping someone for no reason? Do you take us all for fools?" She circled him slowly, her glare burning into him. "Emperor Kaenar does not help. He does not show mercy. He does not find people and bring them home. He only acts when he gains something." Her voice dropped lower, more venomous. "So tell me again, what do you owe him? What are you doing here?" Aarhiya shook his head desperately. "I swear, I'm not lying. I don't know anything. You're misunderstanding." But Lenrea was done listening. Her face hardened. "If you insist on insulting my intelligence with lies, then you can explain yourself in the dungeon." Her two guards stepped forward immediately, grabbing Aarhiya by both arms. "Wait. Please, you're wrong." Aarhiya struggled, but the guards only tightened their grip, dragging him toward the entrance. Servants looked away in terror. No one dared interfere. As Lenrea turned to leave, the tension was so thick it felt suffocating. Aarhiya's cries echoed down the hallway, drawing the attention of the other palace concubines. Second royal concubine Mina rushed muttered. "Oh heavens! What did she do this time?" The palace hallway fell silent the moment Emperor Kaenar appeared at the far end, his dark cloak trailing behind him like a shadow come alive. His guards marched behind him, but it was the Emperor's cold, sharp gaze that froze everyone in place. Lenrea, who had been marching off with Aarhiya, still disguised as Lenrea, stiffened instantly. She spun around just as Kaenar approached, anger radiating off him. "What," Kaenar growled, "is going on here?" His voice echoed through the hall, and the servants trembled. Even the guards holding Aarhiya loosened their grip. Lenrea stepped forward, trying to regain her composure. "Your Majesty, I was only trying to help. We don't know who this stranger is or how she suddenly appeared in the palace. I was attempting to." Kaenar cut her off with a roar. "Help? By dragging someone I brought into this palace like a criminal?" His fury stunned everyone. Lenrea swallowed hard, shocked that he would raise his voice at her publicly. She opened her mouth to respond, but the Emperor's glare silenced her instantly. "If you had questions," Kaenar snarled, "you come to me. Not humiliate the palace with your impulsive theatrics." He turned sharply to the guards. "Release her." The guards obeyed immediately, stepping away from Aarhiya. Kaenar didn't spare Lenrea another glance as he barked, "Lenrea, follow me." Aarhiya followed after him, still shaken as he blended close to the soldiers. Behind them, Lenrea finally snapped, shouting down the hallway. "You always disregard me. Am I nothing in your eyes?" Kaenar stopped just long enough to look over his shoulder, his expression ice cold. Conduct yourself with dignity, he said. Then you won't have to beg for respect. Lenrea froze, wounded pride burning through her, as Kaenar continued walking without another word. Aarhiya glanced back at her, pity flickering in his chest. As he caught up to the Emperor, he whispered, You didn't have to be so harsh to her. She seemed hurting. Kaenar actually paused, turning to study him like he had grown a second head. You pity her? He asked in disbelief. After she was about to torture you? At the very least you would have lost a finger. Aarhiya flinched. Still, she looked upset. Kaenar scoffed and continued walking toward the waiting royal carriage. Aarhiya jogged beside him, then murmured, Thank you for saving me. Don't thank me, Kaenar replied bluntly. I didn't defend you because I like you. You have a use to me, one I hope I'm not mistaken about. If it turns out you're useless, he shrugged calmly, I'll hand you to Lenrea myself. Aarhiya's jaw dropped. So cold, he muttered under his breath. Kaenar didn't even react. He simply climbed into the royal carriage. Aarhiya hesitated for half a second, still baffled by the Emperor's confusing mix of cruelty and reluctant protection. Then he followed him inside, the doors shutting with a heavy thud behind them as the carriage rolled away. Lenrea watched the royal carriage disappear into the murky distance, her fingers curling so tightly around her jeweled sleeves that her knuckles turned white. That woman, that stranger, had somehow walked into the palace and received Kaenar's protection. Kaenar. The man she had served for years, the man who barely gave her a second glance. Mina approached her cautiously, as if sensing the storm raging inside her. Lenrea, what exactly happened? Mina whispered. But Lenrea didn't spare her even a glance. Find out who she is, Lenrea snapped to the nearest guard. Everything. Her origins. Her people. How she met the Emperor. I want every detail. The guard bowed and hurried off. Mina blinked, taken aback. Lenrea, is that necessary? Lenrea finally turned to her, eyes burning. Yes. Something about this isn't right. And I intend to find out what. Meanwhile, on the road outside the palace. Aarhiya sat stiffly in the royal carriage, his fingers tightening around the edge of his seat as he stared out the window. The kingdom of Umbereth stretched endlessly, dark forests, empty streets, gray skies swirling with mist and shadow. Even when people walked about, their faces looked hollow, stripped of joy. It was like watching a world trapped in permanent midnight. His heart sank deeper. How do these people live like this? Aarhiya murmured to himself. Kaenar didn't bother to look at him when he answered, voice low and detached. They survive. That is enough. Aarhiya bit his lip. Survive. The word felt heavy. Sad. After a moment, his curiosity got the better of him, and he turned to Kaenar. Last night, how were you able to leave the boundary? You said it was sealed. Kaenar finally looked at him, expression unreadable. We can leave the boundary at night. But if any of us remain outside when daylight touches us, he paused. We turn to dust. Aarhiya's eyes widened in horror. Turn to dust? Yes. But, how did that even begin? How did Umbereth become like this? Kaenar looked out the window, his face darkening like a shadow passing across his features. I don't know, he said quietly. And I don't waste time asking why. All that matters is ending it. One way or another. I will bring the sun back. Aarhiya watched him for a long moment. There was something almost heartbreaking buried beneath that cold exterior, but Kaenar hid it well. Trying to shift the conversation, Aarhiya asked, So, are we going to see Nello? No, Kaenar crossed his arms. We're going to see someone who will determine whether you're useful or not. Aarhiya scoffed and rolled his eyes. Of course. Because everything with you is useful or useless. Kaenar shot him a sharp glare. Exactly. And I hope, for your sake, you fall into the first category. Aarhiya muttered under his breath, cold as ever. Kaenar ignored him completely. The royal carriage rolled to a slow stop in front of Whitey's lonely hut, a crooked little building sitting at the edge of Umbereth like it had been forgotten by time itself. Aarhiya peeked out the window, his heart thumping. The place looked old, ancient, yet something about it felt alive. Kaenar stepped out first, cold and unreadable as always, before jerking his head for Aarhiya to follow. The guards immediately formed a silent wall behind them, waiting for orders, but the Emperor raised a hand. Stay here. No one enters unless I say so. Aarhiya swallowed and hurried after Kaenar into the hut. The moment the door creaked open, a soft voice floated out. You're not alone today, Your Majesty, Whitey said before they even stepped in. Although her eyes were clouded white with blindness, her head turned toward Aarhiya with eerie precision. I can feel another presence, faint, but there. Aarhiya stiffened. How could she sense him so clearly? Kaenar didn't waste time. I brought someone different to meet you, he said. Whitey motioned for them to sit, her wrinkled hands brushing the air with practiced grace. Aarhiya settled on an old wooden chair, trying not to look as nervous as he felt. The hut smelled of herbs, sharp, sweet, and smoky all at once. As soon as Kaenar began explaining how he met Aarhiya, Whitey listened without interrupting, her face calm but focused, like she was watching scenes unfold inside her mind. When Kaenar finished, he leaned forward. So, is she the one you foretold? The one who can bring the sun back? Aarhiya blinked in confusion. Wait, what do you mean the one? What are you talking about? But they both ignored him. Whitey stretched a bony hand toward him. Give me your palm, child. Aarhiya hesitated, then placed his hand in hers. Her fingers traced slowly across his skin, then paused. Oh, she whispered. Kaenar frowned. What is it? Her energy, Whitey muttered, still touching Aarhiya's palm, is faint, almost sealed. Completely blocked. It's difficult to read anything clearly. Aarhiya's breath hitched. Blocked? What does that even mean? Whitey didn't answer the question. Instead, she released his hand and sat back. If she trains, if she's guided properly, his magic could grow stronger. Then we can tell for sure whether he's the one or not. Kaenar's patience snapped. How long will that take? It depends, Whitey said simply. But one thing is clear, your energy is exactly what he needs. You two are like yin and yang, two halves of a whole. You were destined to meet. Both Aarhiya and Kaenar froze. Their eyes widened. And then they immediately scoffed at the same time. That's not possible, Aarhiya stammered. You're mistaken, Kaenar muttered under his breath. Aarhiya let out a humorless laugh. I've trained for years, and nothing improved my magic. I doubt he jerked his thumb at Kaenar, can change that. Whitey smiled knowingly. You underestimate yourself. And you underestimate fate. She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. I know who you really are. Aarhiya felt his blood turn to ice. His heart hammered so loudly he thought Kaenar might hear it. Before he could speak, Whitey continued calmly, and because of that, I know Kaenar's power will help you. Aarhiya's mind spiraled. Did she see through the disguise? Does she know I'm not Lenrea at all? Kaenar stood abruptly. We're done here. I've heard enough. He grabbed Aarhiya by the wrist and turned toward the door, but Whitey suddenly spoke again, her voice sharp and commanding. Kaenar. Go ahead. Leave him with me. There's something I must discuss with him in private. The Emperor paused, clearly annoyed, but didn't argue. He walked out of the hut with heavy steps, shutting the door behind him. Silence fell. Then Whitey turned toward Aarhiya with a warm but knowing smile. Welcome, she said softly, "Your Highness." Aarhiya's heart dropped. Thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe to the channel for more episodes. The more you like and subscribe, the more I feel eager to continue producing nice contents for you. Thanks a lot everyone and have a wonderful day.